Hello and welcome to Newsfirst Review 360, where we bring you a roundup of this week's top business stories and developments that impact the economy. I'm Joel Outscoon. First, a look at our top story for this evening. Well, now the European Union asked Sri Lanka to show concrete progress in improving human rights and reconciliation ahead of approving GSP Plus trade concessions to Sri Lanka.
The European Union called on the Sri Lankan government to show prompt and concrete progress in improving human rights and addressing areas of concern such as torture, violence against women and corruption ahead of a crucial decision in Europe over approving GSP Plus trade concessions to Sri Lanka. The EU drew attention to the importance of Sri Lanka making prompt and concrete progress in fulfilling international commitments on human rights and labour rights and environmental protection. The European Union releasing a joint communiqué said. The release was in the backdrop of the second meeting of the Working Group on Governance, Rule of Law and Human Rights under the European Union Sri Lanka Joint Commission, which took place in Colombo this week. During discussions between the EU delegation and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Foreign Minister Mangala Samaruwira, the Sri Lankan government has confirmed its commitment to move forward on reforms in sectors covered by the working group. The EU, while recognising progress made in preventing enforced disappearances, improving rights of people with disabilities and ensuring right to information, also urged Sri Lanka to do more to combat torture, violence against women and the need to combat corruption. Detailed discussions on constitutional making replacing of the Prevention of Terrorism Act and amending the Criminal Procedure Act to align them with international standards also took place between both parties. A final decision on approving GSP Plus trade concessions to the European Union is expected in May 2017.
Sri Lanka's economy grew 5.3% in the fourth quarter of 2016, but annual growth slowed to 4.4% in 2016 compared to the previous year.
According to data released by the Department of Census and Statistics, the 2016 growth rate is the weakest performance of the economy since 2013. Overall agriculture activities contracted 4.2% in 2016 owing to extreme weather throughout the year. The Department of Census and Statistics said Sri Lanka experienced inclement weather during the year, particularly the severe flood experienced in the second quarter of 2016 and the drought that prevailed throughout the rest of the year may have had an impact on the agriculture activities of the country. The growing of rice has declined drastically by 31% during the year, while tea, rubber and cereals declined by 11.2%, 10.7% and 10.5% respectively. Fruits, vegetables and fruits including coconuts dropped by 3.7%, 2.1% and 0.6% respectively. However, freshwater fishing, spices and animal production have reported positive growth rates, recording 9.9%, 6.4% and 6.3% in 2016. The Department of Census and Statistics said during 2016 the highest growth rate of 6.7% came from industrial activities. Services grew 4.2% compared to the previous year. Agriculture contributed 7.5% to GDP, industry 27.1%, services 57% and taxes less subsidies 8.4% in 2016.
Minister of Finance Ravi Karunanayake aims to raise $1 billion from the sale of non-strategic assets.
Minister of Finance Ravi Karunanayake said the government expects to raise $1 billion from sales of non-strategic assets by end this year. Non-strategic assets such as Lanka Hospitals, Hyatt Hotel, Grand Oriental Hotel and Water's Edge will be sold through the stock exchange.
Minister, how much do you expect to raise from this divestment from non-state enterprises?
Well, I think you could get roughly about $1 billion. $1 billion, sorry.
How soon are you?
Well, we are not in a urge to do so, but we only want to show that our intent is correct.
Divestment is going to be listed?
Listed.
All six.
He made these remarks before the Ministry of Finance signed statements of corporate intent with selected state-owned business enterprises with the aim of enhancing their contribution to the nation's gross domestic product. The Statement of Corporate Intent is a tripartite memorandum of understanding to be signed by Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, Secretary of relevant line ministry and the Chairman on behalf of the Board of Directors of the respective state-owned business enterprises. Initially, 5 state-owned business enterprises, namely the Ceylon Electricity Board, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board, Airport and Aviation Services Limited and Sri Lanka Ports Authority have been selected to sign this Statement of Corporate Intent.
අපි මෙවැනි ව්‍යාපාර පහක් ඉලක්කය කරලා තියෙන්නේ පාඩු ලබන්නේ නැතුව ලාභය උපරිම කරලා ඒ සල්ලි ලබාගෙන ජනතාවට බදු බර අඩු කරන කටයුත්තක් තමයි අපි කරගෙන යන්නේ. එතකොට අද අපි රජයේ ව්‍යාපාර පහක් ඉලක්කය කරලා ක්‍රමානුකූලව දැන් පුද්ගලිකාංශය නම් මේකේ කෝපරේට් ප්ලෑන් එක. මේකේ තියෙන දුර්වලතා මගහැරලා මේකේ තියෙන ශක්තිමත් භාවය වැඩි කරන්න ඒ උපයෝගී කරන කටයුත්තක් තමයි අපි අද කරන්නේ. මේකෙන් කිසිසේත්ම මේක පුද්ගලීකරණය කරන එක කිසිසේත්ම නැහැ. ඔය ශ්‍රී ලංකන් ගැන කතා කරන කවදාකවත් අපි 150කට වැඩිය දෙන්නේ නැහැ. 150ක රජයට අයිති. අපි කමර්ෂියලයිසේෂන් වාණිජකරණය ඒව තමයි අපි හඳුන්වලා දෙන්නේ.
On the other side of this break, a look at business overseas. Welcome back. You're watching Newsfirst Review 360. Well, time now to look at business overseas. The US Federal Reserve raised interest rates for the second time in 3 months.
The US Federal Reserve raised interest rates on Wednesday for the second time in 3 months, a move spurred by steady economic growth, strong job gains and confidence that inflation is rising to the central bank's target. The decision to lift the target overnight interest rate by 25 basis points to a range of 0.75% to 1.00% marked one of the Fed's most convincing steps yet to return monetary policy to a more normal footing. US stocks hit session highs in afternoon trading after the Fed's announcement. The Fed did not flag any plan to accelerate the pace of monetary tightening, a concern that had lingered among some market participants.
Arguably reflects headwinds that are left over from the financial crisis. One form of headwind, I think, has been caution and restraint and risk aversion on the part of households and businesses that's held back spending decisions.
A Singapore firm working with big tech firms and manufacturers has come up with a service that allows people to text their household appliances.
In today's so-called smart home, you can dim the lights, order more toothpaste or tell the kids to go to bed simply by talking to a small Wi-Fi connected speaker such as Amazon's Echo or Google's Home. But not everyone thinks the future of communicating with the Internet of Things needs to be vocal. Several major appliance makers have turned to a small Singapore firm, Unified Inbox, which offers a service that can handle ordinary text messages and pass them on to appliances. With your home added to a contact list on a messaging app like WhatsApp, a quick text message can start the coffee machine, turn on the vacuum cleaner at 5 p.m. or preheat the oven to 200 degrees at 6:30 p.m.
It's quite fun actually if you look at your WhatsApp list, for example, or your Viber or your Telegram, right? To see, okay, I was texting with my wife, with my family, and this is my vacuum cleaner. I mean, it becomes quite personable, likable, so the device becomes an avatar of the brand. By the way, this is something manufacturers love. They have distributors, but they never have the contact to the end consumer. In this case, they can finally talk to the end consumer directly.
Unified Inbox connects the devices on behalf of the manufacturer, while the consumer can add their appliance by messaging its serial number to a special user account or phone number. It so far supports more than 20 of the most popular messaging apps as well as SMS and Twitter, and controls appliances from ovens to kettles. Other home appliances being tested include locks, garage openers, window blinds, toasters and garden sprinklers. The company is just a small player funded by private investors, but Ruckert says its technology is patent-backed. He has been several years in the making and has customers that include half of the world's smart appliance makers such as Bosch. For those who often have problems with vocal command systems, Unified Inbox offers a welcome alternative.
Cinnamon hotels and resorts plan to host the biggest crowdsourced destination campaign to promote the island as a preferred travel destination.
Cinnamon launched the country's largest crowdsourced destination campaign titled Cinnamon Sri Lanka Photo Contest, Sri Lanka Through Your Own Eyes, in a bid to create a comprehensive destination image bank for Sri Lanka and to raise the island's profile as a preferred travel destination. The competition expects to draw amateur and professional photographers and videographers from around the world who will have the opportunity to submit their images and footage of the island and vie for the prestigious title of Cinnamon Sri Lanka Photographer of the Year.
By the way, Cinnamon has already done 3 Wildlife Photographer of the Year contests before, but this time around the company has gone into a wider spectrum of capturing Sri Lanka's beauty in 7 major categories, and I'm sure we will attract many thousand images, not only because this island is very photogenic, but also the prize money is quite inviting to be a part of this event. The categories are 7. It starts with nature, which is very close to my heart. Then we have landscape, cityscapes, which is interesting. Then we got interiors, which gives one the opportunity to explore and celebrate the aesthetic appeal of what they see in this magical island. Culture and people, we don't have to speak more about that. Sri Lanka is extremely rich in that. Activity and adventure, which is again very touristic prone, and it will naturally create interest among the young visitors especially. Deeper perspective and a photo essay. That's a very interesting one. It's almost like a portfolio of one kind of communicates through photography and experience. And then travel shots, just people having fun while traveling in the island.
Organizers say the competition will enable the collection of over 30,000 original, creative and striking images and video clips of Sri Lanka that will feature different aspects and highlights of the island from a range of perspectives. From Sri Lanka's picturesque beach to its historical landmarks and natural treasures, the competition will help showcase the diverse attractions that the country has to offer whilst capturing the very essence of a vibrant, warm and contemporary Sri Lanka. The winner of the grand prize will receive the title of Cinnamon Photographer of the Year along with a cash prize of $5,000, international media exposure, a 6-page spread in the Cinnamon magazine and an all-expense-paid 21-day tour of Sri Lanka. The best videographer will receive a cash prize of $2,500 along with an all-expense-paid 10-day tour of the island.
Coming up next, what's in the pipeline for inland water transport network in the Western Province? Welcome back. You're watching BizFirst Review 360. Well, time now to look at business overseas. The US Federal Reserve raised interest rates for the second time in 3 months.
The government has planned to develop an inland water transport network to supplement rail and bus transport and to increase connectivity for commuters coming into Colombo from the suburbs. The government has planned to develop an inland water transport network to supplement rail and bus transport and to increase connectivity for commuters coming into Colombo from the suburbs. 3 inland waterways, namely the Mattakulya-Hanvella line, the waterway leading to the Bere Lake from Fort and the Dutch Canal from Vellavatta to Battaramulla have been identified under the project. The Vellavatta to Battaramulla waterway will have 9 jetties constructed with bus stops in close proximity to help commuters transfer from buses to boats with ease.
We have the pre-feasibility ready. So Honourable Minister wants this to be a project that to go out very soon. So we are looking at releasing the expression of interest for to shortlist the investors very soon. So very soon is probably within this month we should be releasing that expression of interest. All the documentation has been done. It is ready. It is about finalizing. We still have to go through the the process of the government approval process, and we have already started that process. So once approval for the EOI documents are provided, we will be rolling that out. So once that is rolled out, we have to give sufficient time for the investors to go into feasibility more. So we are looking to 6 to 7 months before the first line start up. And it doesn't mean that we have to wait until that long to have the whole line developed. So we are looking at the SLRD has been a budget allocation to build jetties. So jetty construction will be started in parallel, and that would develop the jetties that the investors could use. And maybe we'll start with 3 jetties or 4 jetties in the key locations, so we can get it started.
The designs for the boats with a carrying capacity of 50 people per trip have been already determined. Designs will also depend on the width and the depth of the canals.
And from the boat perspective, boat design has already been developed. We have got consultants appointed. SLRD got consultants appointed from the University of Morutua, the Mechanical Engineering Division, to help us, with this aspect. And they have designed the key specifications for the boat, looking at the safety side. Not only the safety, but also looking at the water depths. If you look at the water depths on the canal, it's very low. So it's a flat bottom boat that has been designed for the Vellavatta Canal, while for the Bay Ray it's kind of a catamaran that has been designed where the water levels are a bit higher than the Vellavatta Canal. We started the master plan analysis with thinking that Vellavatta Canal could have a speed of 25 kilometers per hour speed. So the speed and demand goes together. The higher the speeds, more demand would be there. More people would like to make that choice, change from the car or from existing public transport to this water transport. So, here we saw about 30,000 passengers daily using the water transport on the Vellavatta Canal. But then, when we are looking at the pre-feasibility study, we found that the canal, based on the canal widths and based on the canal depths, number of boats that needs to go on the canal, the speed cannot be more than 7 to 10 knots. That is about 18.5 kilometers per hour. So we actually went and did the modeling again, the demand estimations, and we understood that based on that, like a very small amount of speed reduction from 25 to 18, it went down to 16,000 passengers daily. That's from 30,000 to 16,000, almost 50% reduction. The challenge now would be, yes, if we would not have looked at the environmental side, we could have said, okay, no, we are going to have this higher speeds. But we have to look at the erosions of the banks. We have to look at the wave propagation, the comfortability of the passengers on the boat as well.
Well, that's all the news we got for you tonight. Join us next Friday at 9:30 p.m. on TV1 for another edition of Best First Review 360, the pulse of Sri Lankan business. Good night and have yourself a wonderful weekend ahead.